told you I would be back. Let's get started.
Actually, I want to go back and revisit an event that happened earlier this year, 2020, around Easter, when I captured what appears to be Jesus in the clouds here. So I need you to tilt your head to the right about 45 degrees, and here's an eye, his other eye, his nose, his mouth, his chin and beard, his hair flowing back like this, and you can make out a crown up here above his head. And that crown is hovering over his head. There seems to be almost a little halo around his head, too. And once you see that image, then we can zoom in just a little bit tighter. There you go. Okay. And this event happened over a course of about an hour, and I got a lot of pictures of it. See, if we go up above here, you can see all these pictures up from way over here going across, or all of this event. And I'm going to show you more of what happened here. Okay, here I've taken about 7 or 8 of those pictures and put them together in a flip book, and you can see the different images and that this event, is taking place here because there's more that happens here. Okay, so starting here, we're going to go forward a little bit here through a lot of these images, all the way to right about here, where you can see that this face has changed now. Now we're seeing a more round, like lion type face with the nose right here. Here's an eye coming out here, an eye going that way. Here's its mouth slit, the chin going down here. So this round face right here with a crown still above it. Now I'm going to go through and show you the flip book where it changes from Jesus to this lion face. Okay, now we're here at this image right here. This is a flip book of about maybe 15 or 20 of those pictures, and it's the transition between Jesus's face and the lion face. Now this happened in the clouds, and it was so big and in your face you couldn't see it. It wasn't until I took these images and zoomed out and compressed them. You didn't zoom in. They're too big in your face. You have to zoom out to see these. And these images that you're looking at have all been compressed, each frame, and then put into a flip book. And you
Okay, howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. These images are compressed. They're in a different dimension that you can't see. They're too big and close up in your face. You have to back away to be able to see these. All right, so there's our little intro. Let's get started here, shall we? So here's our, whoa, let me get my camera just right there. All right, looks pretty good. And I'll just kind of let that loop play here. And while that's playing, here we go. This is September 30th, 2024. Okay, 9/30/24. So we're going to sorry, it's all over the place here. Let that play for a second and let your trained eyes see what you see in there. Okay. For those of you who've been at this channel for a while, it's pretty blatantly obvious what's going on there. Okay, and we'll go through this frame by frame, okay, so you can pick out each one. So, all right, so first of all, while we're sitting here, I'd like to take a minute to thank you for taking a moment of your time to be part of this precious family. See, this isn't your normal YouTube live stream. Everybody else does their normal little news shows and stuff. This is a little different. This is a family here, okay? And I think when you make it to the end here, you understand what I'm saying. So let's dive in, shall we? Your time is precious to me, I know, because couldn't get a moment of anybody's time before, so here we go. Let me catch this opening frame. Ooh, sneaky. So here we are, 024, opening frame of September 30th, 2024. You can see this little reading right here. We got a blast coming out of the Spire region, okay? As we continue through that, it moves on out. This is probably one of the outer moons of this bigger object that's approaching over here that we saw. So the outer ones, they're orbited a little further out interact with the sun first, and then here comes our big blast right here that created the M 9.7 or 7.9. Sorry. Where's a good frame that I wanted to good capture right here. I'm going to zoom in on this red side for a second here and see if you guys, let me get the wavy little lines out of there too. Are we too close, too far back? Right there is about good. All right. Here you can see our object right here. You can see plasma bending and draping around it like this perfect circuit. This is light bending, okay? This object is so big, it bends light. So when these plasma hits it, it drapes over it, okay? And then you can see the other little moons trailing with it there. I get my fat hand out of the way. There we go. That's a little better. And then maybe darken it just a tad bit here. And that should give it a little bit more depth there. Got to remember this out in space, this is three-dimensional. This isn't just a blast going sideways off the sun. This is a three-dimensional spheroid object. You can make out the bottom down here going around right there. It'd probably go off the page a little bit there. Okay, so there's that object. Now when we slide over here, you can see our splay. You can see light hitting this thing and draping and bending, going around it. Here's our object right there with the little satellite moons trailing along with it. Here's one right here, probably a little bit bigger, but there's a couple of them. And let's see if we can go back a frame. Here you can make them out a little bit better. Maybe it's forward frame here. Sorry, it jumps a little bit, but we got to do that while it's zoomed in. So hopefully you can make out these other little satellite moons right here. Let me scoot back over. Here we go. This is the frame right here. Here you can make out this one. Let me use this pointer. This one, another one right here. It looks like there's a little 4-pack right there. And then all this plasma is reaching. Ooh. Maybe we could see it better like that. So that one, another one here. Maybe brighten it back up a little bit better. There we go. And then you can see how our plasma is reaching out, down and around, reaching out and over this bigger object in the background. And, these are the ones that kind of cause the X flares. And we had a 7.9 or M79. So that's almost an X flare. Pretty powerful blast. So there's your object. Okay. You got to remember these things don't reflect light, they absorb and bend light. So they're hard to see until they interact with the sun. All right, now let me pull back a little bit. Zoom on back out. Whoops. Catch this little button and continue on out. You can see that the sun probably pulled one of these moons, magnetically tore it away, and it's, ricocheting off at another angle. Even on this side, you can see a little plasma buildup right here on this little moon that's coming out. Hopefully you can see a little round black spheroid right here. And its ghost image right behind it. Okay, the trailing satellites, the ones that are on the other side of the bigger object. And then look, you see some that get hooked and kind of moving back in. Get hooked up with the sun, get pulled back in, and then here's another coming out from down below. Some other trailing moons, satellites around the bigger object. Look at them all. They're all splayed out. almost like a shotgun blast a little bit. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and put that back into motion and just let that play for a minute and let that sink in. Okay, you guys, it's a little hard to understand, but you guys got to wrap your brain around what's going on right there. And, you can see what's happening here. It's kind of clear as day if you know what to look for, but everybody has taught you that this is like two-dimensional, that this is just coming out in one little ribbon. No, that's a three-dimensional object. See, like the sun's a sphere, our planet is a sphere, most of everything else in space is a sphere, and something big has smaller objects orbit it. Understand, the more mass you have, then bigger gravity field you have, and the more objects you can hold into orbit. And there's your big object cruising by the sun right there. And they seem to come in the three in a row. And we didn't do a show last night, so we need to back out of tonight and go revisit last night. Okay, been having some issues with data getting uploaded, but here's the day before. See this bigger object coming out right here with the moon with it too? See, we're going to have to go frame by frame through this as well. So let it finish loading up. I see a few more people coming in. I'd like to thank them also for taking a moment of your time to be part of this family, okay? It's not your regular show. You guys are a family here, and the topics we discuss here are very disturbing, so it's important you stick around to the end. So this was yesterday, the 29th, okay? So we saw a big object yesterday on the 29th with a bunch of satellites that are orbiting it, and there's like 3 of these in a row. Let's go back and look at the 28th. You see this inward flow going in? It's like some of these satellites are approaching the sun, and you can see them. They're approaching the backside. That's why they look like they're coming in. Okay, so just a little satellite right there. I think it's going to be right here. All right, but let's come on over here first. All right, so here we are at Solar Ham. Here's our solar flux indice. All right, we're up in the red again. Last time we were still in the yellow and almost to 200. Well, we're up 17 more points, which puts us in the red now at 214. Okay, so indices are rising. Sunspot number count is up too a little bit. We're in the yellow. Even though it's down 4 spots, it's still 150 sunspots, okay? So maybe we lost a few during our event there, but there's still plenty of sunspot activity out there. All right. Meanwhile, the area doesn't really matter right now. So we want to pop this open, zoom on in, and check out our sunspots, shall we? Okay, first of all, departing the limb, not much, 38, 34. We got this one, doesn't have much of a polarity, even polarity. This one, same. There's a little blue there, but 38, 36. And then this region, 38, 42, this complex little region with 38, 36 right next door to it. So we can see a hop like this or being, look how close these are together, okay? And this is where our object just came out of. It fired off something out of this region right here, which is facing us, isn't it? And we saw the M flare coming our direction, so we will probably get a grazing blow from this, okay? Especially when it's facing the sun or facing us. We can see it. Well, then means light's coming at us, and so is radiation from any kind of CME or blast or ejecta. All right, so it could possibly come our way. Bless me. Excuse me. Back up here, 3841. Boom. Another complex structure starting to grow right there. Okay. Oh, yeah. Excuse me. All right, now let's slide it on over and scroll on down and see how fluxed we are. X-ray flux, that is. All right, so here's your solar X-ray flux for today. And it doesn't necessarily reflect the bumpy ride that we saw. little dropout in data. I can't wait until this stuff is over, this dropout in data where we have the eclipsing of the satellite. So, meanwhile, right at the end of the day, we started to have, boom, our big event right there. All right, and it drops on down and goes into a big old valley, which is just a data dropout. But something happened right here at the change of the day, and I didn't really see much here on the 30th. Should we take a peek at the first and see what it is? No? You don't want to peek into the future, huh? I could even refresh it and get every frame for you. Oh, well, tough. We're going to do it anyway. And probably this still continuing because look at this glowing spire region. And this does not really reflect what we saw today. If this is our 7.9, it's right on the cusp in the change of the day. And that's UTC time, so it should be whatever's continuing on here. Because let's go back. Our bigger event right here, that took place, boom, 448, even earlier. Let's go back to when it really started to take place. Bam, back here. So we'll go 312 UTC. Well, 312 is like right in that gap right there. So this, I don't believe, is our reading from our M7.9. I don't know, it just looks odd. Where's our event right there at the tail end of this? I'll continue to play it. Our big event's right there at the beginning. Then when we get to 24 or 23, oh, did you see that? Did you just see that? Because we want to see what happens around. We want to see this event that happens at like 23 to 2400 right there, and then 0 into the first hour, right? So we want the hour before and the hour after the cutoff. And looky here. We stop at 1819. Whoopsie, missing 5 hours of data. And we see something beginning to glow right here. And at the tail end, see, we want to hop into the first and catch the opening frames of the first. Oops, that probably was it right there, but oh well. So it ends at 6. There's your 024. So whatever's still continuing, which is this little long duration event, something just peeled off and tore away there over that 5-hour course, and now there's something still trailing there a little bit. Here we'll go like this. Yeah. And there's still something more to come out of that region right there. So let's go ahead and start that. All right, so there's your little peek into the future. See, something missing there. Huh. Sure seemed like it to me. All right, let's pull on back and get the rest of this show on the road. Now, your 3-day geomagnetic forecast is all zeros here, so they're not forecasting anything yet. All right, but we're probably going to be seeing some kind of event come this way from this M7.6. Now, the 7.6 happens at 2359 UTC. Bingo. So the one that we were looking at, the big event, is like where the data dropout is. Isn't it? How convenient. And then this event that's not a data dropout isn't there. Just saying. Okay, meanwhile, X flare potential 10%, your M flare is at 50. We have 5% proton because of that latest M7.6. Okay, it came out of 3842. All right, and 3842 is beta gamma delta and growing. All right, it's probably going to diminish now that we had our event and the big thing peeled away. Wait, actually, 30, 3842 was that one over here. I'm talking about whatever's coming off over this region, off the backside of the sun, probably. All right, well, we'll continue to monitor it. Meanwhile, 3835 is beta gamma and declining. All right, here's your KP. We had a little small event, nothing too bad, KP4. So, taking on a little energy down to the core, but not a lot. You can see our auroras are pretty weak. Let me just pop that open. You can see they're pretty faint right now, which is good. We don't need to be taking on a lot of geomagnetic energy. Okay, now let's get to this really quick. Finally, noteworthy solar flare to report. An M7.6 flare was detected around AR 3842. Okay, they'll show you, 5 minutes or 5 hours up to this event, but won't show it. Okay, now it came out of this one that's facing us. Okay, so and it's cleared the limb by, a healthy little gap right there. It's not center disk, but, that's why it's important to have that data so we could see what direction is really going. Meanwhile, I can tell you just by seeing it, we can see it from our vantage point. Some of that light and that radiation is coming our way because you can see it. All right, so possibly coming our way. A further update will be provided regarding the CME. Let's just take a peek and see if they're lacking some tracking or if they're track-a-lacking. Okay, I'm not showing anything yet. Probably be going this direction, right? And it'll broaden out and part of it'll clip us, I believe, because, you're looking right at it. It's like, say, a shotgun blast and you can still see the mouth of the barrel. Well, part of that's going to spray and go your way. So, see, look, they're not showing anything right now. They don't know what to think. And you know what? I can see why. Ooh, I got an idea. Let's go take a peek under. Oh, we can't, huh? Maybe we can another way. We'll come back to that. All right, so second day in a row, coronal mass ejection was observed leaving the sun from beyond the east limb. If an active sunspot region is responsible, we could see the source turned into view later this week. It'll probably be diminishing now that these events have happened. Anyways, for now, isolated M flares will remain possible. 3842. Okay, and the little moons, the trailing satellites, spit and sputter and kick a few out. So I think we've seen two, and I think our third event was this one that's the missing data. Okay, because the big ones come in like a 1, 2, 3 pack, and then we get a little break, and then a 1, 2, 3 pack again. So I showed you the first two you could see, and then the third one is during the cusp of these 2 days right here that we just had right here just a little while ago. Okay, and it came out of this region right here, 3842, facing us a little bit. So we are going to get some energy out of that. Hold on, everybody. I can tell you that much just by looking at it. I don't know why everybody's so weird to report that. Strong solar flare. The quiet has ended. Now, earlier today, Sunspot 3842 produced an M7.6 class solar flare and a shortwave radio blackout over the Pacific Ocean. The 3842 has a Delta class magnetic field that harbors energy for even stronger X class flares. I don't think so. We just seen our three big objects. I don't think we're going to see any more. Those are going to diminish, I think. The big new sun-grazing comet. Astronomers are monitoring the new comet discovered just a few days ago. A new comet discovered just a few days ago. And some of these comets that come in and are trying to graze the sun or whatever actually start steering towards these bigger objects. You'll see a sun diver like come in and it'll head this way and then disappear into this thing. It's like when we approach this 3-pack of big objects, because I think we're approaching them. They're a lot bigger, they have more mass. I believe our solar system is rotating around these 3 bigger objects and all their satellites. And as we come in for a pass and loop back out, we hit some of the little satellites that are around these things. And then we, come back out for a minute. That's our little break. And then we go through this 3-pack field again. And in that 3-pack field, draws comets in, because every time we get around this time of this approach, when we get these bigger objects, or we approach this 3-pack of bigger objects, all of a sudden our uptick in sun diving comets picks up. And I think it's debris that's around this stuff that as we pass through, starts to get sucked into the sun. And then all of a sudden we have newly discovered comets just a few days ago. Atlas has an asteroid impact early warning system developed by the University of Hawaii and funded by NASA. It consists of 4 telescopes, which automatically scan the whole sky several times every night looking for moving objects. Boy, I wish I had that job. I'd probably find them all. Boom. All right, so right here, 2022-1926 Atlas images the DART impact on the moonlit Dimorphos. So this Atlas, or the DART, picked up the impact on that asteroid right there. Interesting. All right, let's get back to business. You can come over and finish that article if you want. We're moving on. All right, now the Schumann resonance report out of Russia, the one I like to use, is no longer working. You can imagine why. So this graph is much like the other one, just more compact. It's upside down too. So instead of starting from the top and our spikes dripping down, they're starting from the bottom and pointing up. If you look over here on the side, you can see here's 0 hertz and here's 10 hertz. Or here, I'll use this one. There's 0 and there's 10. And your 7.83, this little line, just in between your 5 and just below the 10, there's your 7.83, that little line going across, okay? So let me scroll up just a tad bit more. Can I? No, I guess we'll, I know, we'll zoom in. Yeah, that's why I don't really like using this one too much. Okay, so here we are earlier in the day. This is the beginning 6 hours of our day. So going this direction across the graph until about noontime, where we hit some turbulence there, a little bit of scraping down at the lower levels. You see how intense it is at the lower frequencies right here. Okay, then it crosses into the 7.83. So we did have a little bit of grinding today, and then more grinding. And this is it's so faint, it's so small. They obviously don't want us seeing really good readings, so that's a little bit better. So your roller coaster ride, your moody, in the background is going on. It's not too intense, but it is a little bit there. You're having little spikes, a little bit of build up, tension, relief, tension, relief. So a tiny little roller coaster ride, not like very intense or, big swings or anything. So we started off over here. We're going this way across the day. So we made through some bumpiness. There's noontime. Okay, now we're heading into the 6 o'clock nighttime. There's 1200, 1800. Okay, and then right towards the end of the day, we had a few last little pops right there, but nothing too much. And then as we go up to our latest readings, all the way back over here, you can see, whoops, one more up there. So going this direction again, you can see it's nice and kind of quiet right now. So a little breathe of relief there for a minute. Okay, now let's get over to here where things are ramping up. We have another cyclone approaching Japan right here. And we have another typhoon cyclone going right between Taiwan, the Philippines, and about to hit China again. As if they haven't been flooded out enough, here comes more. Okay, coming over here, we have this big monster storm up here in the Gulf of Alaska just rotating like crazy. It's ready to whip up some weather and send it up into that region. Okay, we also have this rotation up here, another one right here, and then you got this big old area right here where there's just nothing happening. Okay, big old hedge of protection over that region right there. You can see a crazy eye there, crazy nose. All right, now going into the Atlantic, here we go. We have these little vortexes that have fired up, okay? And we have this one now that is pulling their sandstorms up and into this. But it's okay because it's taking these hurricanes and pulling them up into it too. We have like a new gyre formation, a new like conveyor belt type structure here growing. You can see these other vortices rotating up there. Where was the other one I want to point out? Now, this one over India has kind of changed up. We got more rotation down here. Now look how this thing is pulling air now. Remember we had air going this way and across for the longest time? Now this is pulling air the opposite way back down into the southern hemisphere. And we're at 850, okay? So there's a change up right there, big time, because that one flow that was going this way for the longest time has changed, hasn't it? Okay. Also, another one I want to point out, there's a vortex going on over here. One over the Black Sea. One's off the coast of Europe, Africa. So we're getting vortex activity or rotation all over the place, okay? Now what I want to do is put in our sand. Okay. And I'm going to leave the wind on for a second because now you can see how our new pattern has changed the shape of our arm coming out. It's curling like a big old bodybuilder with his fist, rolled in towards his arm here. And it stops and rotates back that way. So let me put the wind back on. All right. This little vortex down here has changed the direction. It's interrupted that whole flow, that whole conveyor belt structure. And now look at this over here. We got wind patterns coming off the coast back out into the Atlantic and rotating around here. So we got a little vortex of our own going right here. All right. Now, you guys want to see the face tonight or what? Probably not. It's not too bad. So, as we rotate around to this region here, you can see we still have very strong sandstorms going on here, over the Gobi Desert, all over the Caspian, Black Sea, way up in here to Russia, too. Craziness, huh? And I want to put the wind back on this one here, because look at this. Over Saudi Arabia, the Holy Land right here, this area is getting whipped up with this vortex rotation right here, whipping up intense sandstorms, sending them right up through there. If you can see what I see, you could see it looking right at it. That region's in hot water. Apparently somebody's coming around over on this area, and it's lessened up for them. Meanwhile, a little bit of sand showing up here in China, but it's not. They need it offshore where it disrupts the storms, and it's not. It's over their country instead. And you can see this one didn't have much sand blocking its formation either. So this region's still continuing to get lashed because of, thermal temperatures, lack of sand over on that side. And then meanwhile, over on this side, you can see our plume structure is changing, is curling back, but it's because of our new structure, conveyor belt structure going on now. We are in transition season, and we'll get to that here in just a minute after the SO2 report. So SO2, you got to remember this is sulfur dioxide, not carbon. Sulfur dioxide. It's basically vaporized magma, and it comes out of the ground really hot. Okay, the emission sites where this gas comes out, the gas itself isn't flammable, but it comes out of the ground so hot that it can cause spontaneous combustion of surrounding vegetation. You got dry forest and one of these things busts out, it'll set the forest floor on fire, which then goes up into the trees. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on our fire report at the same time. And let's dive on in. First, last year we had this activity, strong emission sites up here in Canada that were causing a bunch of fires. Meanwhile, they have strong emission sites. Their fire activity is diminished. They still got this little area, but not as bad as it was before and last year. Now, this activity has actually started to creep down into the lower 48. That's why. And as you look here at our emission sites, our stronger emission sites all have fires at them, okay? Bingo, bingo. This is up in Idaho. It looks like we're getting over into Wyoming now. Meanwhile, over in Oregon, these ones have fired up again. Okay. Now, leave that there for you guys to kind of wrap your brain around what's going on there. These fires are being started from underground. Okay? Everybody wants you to think they're the DEW weapons or directed energy weapons. No. A lot of these trees are burning from the inside out. They catch on fire at the root structure. The root structure actually smolders in the dirt, in the wet dirt, for a day or two until it reaches up to the trunk. And at the trunk, there's a conical shape on the bottom side of the trunk that focuses and funnels heat right to the center of the tree, which then starts to get warm and air gets in there. And the next thing you know, the center of your tree is on fire from the base going up and then starts burning from the middle outward. I've seen burned out trees with no stump. There is no stump in the ground. At the site, there's a hole in the ground with black tubes, like a little tube going down into the dirt where the root used to be, and it's all burned out and gone, and now just this hollow little tunnel of blackened dirt is left in there. Interesting stuff. And they're like, how is this happening? Well, it's happening because it's coming from below. Spreading on down through California, too. We got a fire down there. We even got one here in this vicinity now, around probably Mammoth region, Bishop area, foothills. So this new site right here in the middle of the Sierra Nevadas here, we got a fire going here because of an SO2 emission site, don't we? Okay, another little fire there. I don't know if that one's close enough, but this one definitely is. Okay, and some of these down here might be a little bit too. Now, anything east of this line, you can see our country divided here, bleeding out on one side. You see these little patches where there's nothing. That's because of the flooding. But once that water recedes, it will start to continue to emit SO2. But there's your country divide. Why? Well, because we choose to be that way. We choose to listen to certain things and believe it, and other people choose to listen to other agencies and believe it. And no one could come to the right thing. No wonder why there's confusion. All right, meanwhile, middle of Mexico, SO2 emissions still there, pretty healthy. Cuba, still pretty healthy. Jamaica, you know what's going on in Jamaica there. All right, meanwhile, all of the Virgin Islands, no longer virgins. They're violated and they're having SO2 emissions coming out of them. Pretty strong ones, too, there. They're nice and healthy. They're there. Okay, so All your bank accounts got SO2 emissions underneath them. Meanwhile, up here at the top of South America, still pouring SO2, little tiny sites as we come on down. Right in this area, I just kind of want to zoom in and let you see that these are all individual sites. This is not like one site with a plume blowing down. Okay. And then we come to our fulcrum point here at South America. It's going nice and strong. The other one's pretty defined. This upper one, very defined and pretty dark tonight. So it looks to me we've had a little increase in pressure, which is understandable. We just got a couple of rounds from the sun, and we're probably absorbing a little bit, and it's starting to show. We look here, really strong emissions. It's not blowing out so much into the Pacific, but very strong emissions along there relieves a lot of pressure. That means there's a lot of pressure underneath there pushing this gas out. Lava wants to come out of these sites, but the pathways are so tight and tiny that only gas can escape. So the pressure down below is pushing magma on the underside of the crust, trying to push it through the crust and out to the surface, but it can't make it. So the vaporized SO2 comes out instead. And it's an indication of where your pressure is and how much is being relieved. Then we come on over to Hawaii because, well, we got the Pacific Rim, and much like a bicycle rim, the hub where all the spokes come together. This would be the hub of the Pacific Rim. We got good, strong emissions coming out of Oahu here, and some pretty good emissions coming out of Hawaii, even Maui a little bit. We got volcanic activity going on Hawaii. And as we come around to this part of the world, let's adjust for their time zones. 8 hours go. All right. And you can see pretty strong emissions through China. It's crept up into this area, way up into here now, covering the Korean Peninsula. It's kind of turning purple now, too. We got Japan, which is a volcanic island system, so it's got SO2 emissions. Every once in a while, we come up here we need to come up here, look at the Kamchatka, and you can see our one volcano right here where we see some quake activity every once in a while is spewing a lot of SO2. So currently going off right there. Now, just above the Kamchatka, look at all this peppered area, just boom, 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 boom. All right. 7 years ago, when all this started, 4 little tiny dots that were smaller than these appeared on the Sear crest, and the whole internet community stopped and took notice. Well, now we got them coming out all over the place, and nobody even cares. Well, you guys do, and I do, so. It's just lack of coverage from mainstream media. Yeah. Anyways, here's your SO2 emissions coming out of India. Not so much rotation in there anymore, throwing it up against the Himalayas, but it still can't make it over there. So it still stays in this pocket area, and it's concentrated. Look at it, it's darkening up like China, isn't it? So is this region as well. Okay, all these sites are getting bigger and bigger, more and more intense. Little places filling in, little dots like this, filling in empty gaps, all the way up to, oh, you're just seeing it going all the way up into Europe. Okay, North Africa, right along the coast, but nothing so much out in the desert, all packed with sand. But we do have emissions down here in South Africa. While we're over here, I want to come down through the Philippines and stuff over here doing good. Let's take a look at Taiwan. Now you can see your storm, your typhoon, picking up this gas and swirling around. So not only are you getting hit with a typhoon, but it's a sulfuric acid type typhoon. And we'll get into that in just a second too. All right, so pretty decent emissions coming out of Taiwan, which tells me there's a pretty good increase in pressure down below. Good strong plume coming out of there too, all the way up through there. So there's still a fair amount of pressure down below trying to make its way out the crust. Meanwhile, we come up, whoa. So check this out now. Here we got Sumatra, right? We come over here to check out Java here, and it's doing its normal thing. But up here at Sumatra, this island has slowly but surely been kind of filling in with pink and with yellow and with purple. There's a few little spots, but what I'm noticing now are these islands. This island chain right off the coast right here. And look at this. We got SO2 emissions coming out of a volcanic island right there, right there. So pressure building in that region right there. Meanwhile, a lot of SO2 coming out of here, relieving pressure the best it can. We probably need to see more coming out, or more emissions or earthquake in this region to relieve some of the pressure. But new SO2 emissions in these islands right here off the coast of Java, right there, or Sumatra. We come over here really quick, just take a peek at Australia. Their site's still there, but they kind of look like they have a little diminishing of pressure down there. Meanwhile, we're coming into our deep quake region with Fiji here. All right, your plate boundary system going up through here. Okay, and this little long boat shaped island has two SO2 emission sites that relieve pressure at the plate boundary entrance right there, kind of reducing pressure as it goes up through there. Like little slow leak in a bicycle tube. Over time, it relieves pressure little by little. It's not a bunch, but it does hamper some of the activity a little bit. Now, what I want to do is, we're coming over now. I'm going to do the ocean current thing, our SSTA, which is our sea surface temperature anomalies. Okay, now, these are sea surface temperatures. This is the temperature of the water, but it's an anomaly that's not normal. Okay. Anomaly means not normal. Okay. So as we look around here, you can see Tamumasi and all the little, vents, fissures, seamounts, all kinds of activity going on here, producing quite the heat signature plume in the water. Okay. Now we got cold water here, and then we got another heat signature plume growing out here off the coast of America here. A couple of days ago, we had a little buildup of pressure in this region right here, and we saw some quake activity. I've been waiting for like a little reduction of these three red dots, but it really hasn't kind of shown. So whatever earthquake activity we had did it for a second, but this thing's kind of continuing to grow in size, and I think that's why we didn't see much of a result, because something's still growing out here. Even though it caused a little earthquake activity, it wasn't enough to like reduce these three dots that are inside the Wanda Fuca plate right there. All right, so let's get on over here. You can see cold water still along there, trying to fight for its life there. Also up here, we have volcanic or earthquake activity along these volcanic islands here, and it used to stretch all the way over to here. Now this blue is starting to retreat a little bit. But you can see how cold water inundation, because pressure being relieved by SO2 emissions and earthquake activity along those volcanic islands there. Coming on over to this side really quick here, let's get into, Korea's in hot water. They're surrounded by hot water. Japan, they're in hot water too. Meanwhile, down here by Taiwan, I like to check this as relief valve. Very, very quiet around there. There was some yellow inundation. It's starting to come back a little bit. There was a little yellow inundation here, and it retreated for a few days, but it looks like it's starting to creep back. But on this side, it's still all cooler and darker. Okay, darker means cooler. So a little cooler down there. You could see this yellow over on this side starting to build. So I think our relief valve here is, pressure's building in here and not being relieved so much from our valve there so much. As we come on down, I want to take a peek at Java here, because, this is like our relief valve down here. And no cold water inundation tonight. Very minimal. And you can actually see yellow starting to occur right here in this region offshore. So expect to see some higher blasts or more activity out of Java because it has so many like pores and cracks and paths of least resistance. You can tell by how strong the SO2 comes out of there. And also here on the coast of Sumatra, right here, these islands that were emitting SO2, just above it, there's a hot patch out in the water. Let me pull that down right there. Okay, you can see this little spot, this little hot spot. See, it continues off of this island chain. Ding, 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 ding. This would probably be the next one. Well, there's something out there under the water growing. A seamount probably just opened up or some fissure cracked open, and there's new little island forming going on the ocean floor. Gee, what do you think is going on right here? Probably the same activity. Spreading out down through here a little bit. Whoops. I hope you guys don't see that. Yeah. Wow. Okay, here we are over here. Hot, cold water. Still no vortex action right there. That might change here pretty soon, too. What's going on there? It's like Halloween coming up or something. All right. Now what we need to do is put our wind patterns on. You can see this mess out here in the Atlantic. All right. We have our convergence zone that's shifted up 15 degrees up here to this latitude. We also have hot patches opening up right around here. Okay, so very concerning. As long as that pattern continues to go up through this way, we'll be okay. But the moment our conveyor belt system, if this thing, changes and we don't have enough sand to cover our cloud tops, you could see some bowling ball activity come right down the alley here. But for right now, you can see your wind patterns. You see this rotation coming offshore. So anything that's going to kind of come this way, this is going to push it out. That's why these things are rotating out and going right back up. We have a change in our conveyor belt structure up here. You see how our heat plumes have changed our conveyor belt structure. I'm just going to let it sit there for a second so you can look at it. But we have a new pattern set up, okay? So we're probably going to continue to see, Hurricane Genesis, but maybe making a reverse, a 180, and then coming back at Europe and France and everything there. Because you can see how it's taking these vortices along this path and you're going to shoot them right through there, right through the hot water channel, right back at this region. You can see where the arrows and all the flow is coming out. So that's where you would be seeing your impact. Imagine that. Hurricanes coming around and hitting like Spain, France, Great Britain, North Africa, getting hit by hurricane after hurricane. We have a conveyor belt effect like this instead. I want to do really quick, leave that right there. I want to show you the sand structure. Okay. That goes along with that. So your hurricanes, your vortexes are riding on the outside of the sand structure. They're not getting caught up in the middle. So they're kind of rotating around this and they're going to get pulled into this converging vortex, this suction tube right here, the suck zone. Going to get pulled into that, I think, and start being slung towards there. You see this sand already getting pulled into the mix. So that might diminish some of their convection cloud top heights and might not nullify, but deaden any kind of severe effect. We'll have to watch this carefully. The dynamics are changing. We're in transition season now. Fall time is when, whoa. Oh, wait, now that we got this. Okay, so where's the matchup first? Gotta get it just right. All right, so right here, what I'm trying to point out at is this southern fetch coming up to this latitude right here. That's your intertropical convergence zone where the two air masses meet and they're not supposed to. This convergence zone is supposed to be down here. And now we've shifted like 15 degrees. And now your intertropical convergence zone is 15 degrees north of the equator. It should be like that. See what I'm saying? So that's why I want to capture that while we got the winds glitched like that. It's an example of the 15-degree tilt. We should be like this when it's actually like this. Okay, so the planet seems to have tilted or something, and now our intertropical convergence zone is 15 degrees more north than it used to be. All right, so back to the temperature anomalies, my bad. I'm glad we kind of caught that glitch there. Hopefully you guys saw that or understood what I was trying to show there. If not, we'll try to cover it again here. Because here's your equator, and air should not be coming from the southern equator up into the north. It's crossing the convergence zone, and the convergence zone's more up at this level. Now look what this hurricane is doing. It's actually pulling that air that's coming up to the convergence zone, sucking it in and throwing it into this mix, isn't it? It's throwing it into that, and it's going up to here, which is going to wrap around this, and you're going to have air from the southern hemisphere all the way up here eventually. See how it would come through here, loop back down around, how this one is actually taking this air. And if you followed it even further back, all that air is coming from way down here. So we're air from the tip of South Africa, and down here the Antarctic is coming all the way up. Dude, that is crazy. No way. Do you guys see that? Wow. Pardon my French for just a minute ago there. I bet you the guys are at NASA, at the weather agencies, are just tripping out right now, going, what is happening? Hopefully you guys can see this. If you follow this air, it comes up, it goes through here, gets caught up into that, gets thrown into this, spit out. Even after it gets spit out here in Spain, it continues up into this vortex. So it makes it all the way up here. It's nuts. I don't think I've ever seen anything convert or cross. I've seen it cross and not go all the way from one pole to the other, basically, huh? Now let's come over here to the Pacific and take a look at what's going on as far as our conveyor belt structure over here. I'm gonna let that kind of sit right there for a second. We also have this big storm that's twisting around up there. It's taking stuff up into, British Columbia, but most of it's rotating back out. We got this little hump right here that's pulling stuff up, but it still continues along. You got your cyclones that are moved in over here, but big old heat patch, this big old hot bar out there still got kind of this whole conveyor belt structure going still. What I really want to point out, though, is this. This big old rotation right here is a big old nasty storm, but it's not really making landfall too well. It's throwing stuff up here, and this rotation's latching onto it and bringing it down, but it's really not moving too much inland yet. What I want to show you here on the air of this, can we go down the surface? Yeah, we can. Do you see this tight ribbon of air? Look at this. This boundary is not letting the storm through. See all this air rotating up right up against it. This is rotating right against it. And there's this convergence line that's just really tight. And right here, after some of this convergence line breaks down, it gets sucked up into this, but then a backup one right here, and you got wind moving away, going down the coast again. So this storm is going to get wrapped up, and probably go up this way. Because there's this convergence line here, unless it gets pulled in and sucked down this way. That's the strangest barrier I think I ever seen like this. It's like, where is this wind coming from? Maybe some of it's arcing around a little bit, but very, very, very strange days. Now, I want to go back to our ocean temps, SSTA, take off that, put the wind on. Okay, so there's your coinciding vortexes. I also want to take you really quick to the standard sea surface temperatures because they're playing a role as well. Okay, these are your standard temperatures. Now, as we look here, we still have purple and pink on the map. So that's where your hottest water is, and any kind of vortex that gets through here is going to really accelerate. We've seen storms just, give birth right here as a tropical storm, turn into Category 4 and slam into the country. So it doesn't even have to, be born way out here and take the two-week trip. Brian, what would cause that? What would cause? Be a little more specific, Mr. Chaos there. What's causing this heat signature plus the sun? We're in the end of summer, fall. There's still, intense sunlight, but we have thermal activity being produced from the ocean floor. You got magma pushing up through vents on the ocean floor, causing hot spots. And these hot spots with other cold water next to it, a hot plume of water creates hot air over it. Cold plume of water has cooler air over it. Hot air rises, cold air rushes in to replace it, causing rotation. Up here, hot, cold, rotation. Hot, cold, rotation. And that's what's causing it, is the thermal activity that's pushing up through the crust. You got to remember, the ocean floor is still the top of the Earth's crust. Even though it's covered with water, it's still the surface. So just like we're having all kinds of volcanic activity all over on land, well, we're having all kinds of volcanic activity on land underwater. And that hot water causes heat plumes and has been directing our weather all summer. Now, as we go into transition season, hopefully our upper air currents in our jet streams, our lower and upper jet streams, will start taking control again. But it was actually to a point where the thermal inductive activity was controlling the lower jet stream as well. It wasn't the lower jet stream controlling the weather. It was the thermal activity reaching up so high that it was starting to affect the lower jet stream. Pretty impressive stuff. We need to get back to on track here. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place tonight, but you guys are hanging tough. Also, something else I want to do. We did SO2. We're going to do, SO4. It's another sulfate, okay? It's a sulfur compound. Whoops, I want to take the wind off. Okay, and we're not so concerned about where the emission sites are. This is man-made and nature-made, okay? It's the fact that this compound, SO4, it's a sulfur quad oxide. It has 4 oxygen atoms per molecule instead of 2. So it has two extra atoms of oxygen. But this sulfur quad oxide, or SO4, it's a particulate, right? We're on particulates. Particulates like ash and stuff, like water likes to adhere to a particulate to make a raindrop. Well, these particulates, instead of adhering to the particulate, it actually bonds with the SO4. H2O bonding with SO4 creates a new chemical compound called H2SO4, which is better known as sulfuric acid. And what you're looking at with all the added heat and evaporating moisture content into our atmosphere, making our atmosphere richer in water content, now we have SO4 to add to all that water, creating more acid rain. Sulfuric acid rain, by the way. And you can see it gets caught up in these storms. See it twisting away. So when this storm hits, it's not only going to just devastate and make, devastating impacts. It's all going to be sulfuric acid too. Or very, very high pH rain. Okay. It's going to be a very acidic rain. And you can see how dense the plumes are over these countries. You can tell who's getting acid rained on. And it gets caught up in these big old storms, driven way up into here, all the way down here. Look at this big old vortex rotating around, sucking it in, pulling it in, wrapping it around, and then when that thing moves in, it'll be, your intense moisture bands that are, dumping tons of water. It's dumping tons of SO2 or SO4 as well. Is that like a lion face with dreadlocks or something right there? I don't know. Looking pretty weird though. Okay, so we got to move on back to our SSTA, our sea surface temperature anomalies, please. All right, so I want to leave off there and then come on over to our earthquake report, and we'll leave the Wanda Fucus in there. Okay, so now let's get into our earthquake report really quick here. No deep quakes in our deep quake region today. Okay, a little bit down here by the catcher's mitt. Excuse me. 4.6 down at 19.6 right there. Very quiet along this plate boundary for a while, just that one 4.6. We have this island emitting SO2, which relieves pressure in the region. So any kind of surface activity has been kind of nullified through there right now. Meanwhile, right here, we are getting a 5.0 down at 35 at Kokopo. Right on the edge, right on the flank of this volcanic island down at 35. You got your magnitude 5. Over here, sometimes a little deeper here. No, not tonight. 4.6 down at 79. Again, probably a little volcanic island right off this plate boundary. This deeper area sometimes. Actually, there's no islands out in that. It's down underneath this little pit area here. You can see how it's a little deeper in that region. So in between the two plate boundaries, pressure coming in, pressure going out, and converging right there makes for a weak spot. We'll have to watch that little region maybe for path of least resistance. Meanwhile, look at this one. This is a new one. 5.0 here at Indonesia, down at 121. Yes, I remember this area. Ow. Ooh, it's on shore too. Okay. Ow. My color not coming in very well tonight or something happened here. Camera slipping or something. All right. Oh, I know. My mount moved. All right. Anyways, let's move on. 5.0 at 121 on the surface right there, or on land right there. We'll have to watch that little spot. I'm surprised it didn't have a little aftershock after that one, maybe. I'll have to watch for a small aftershock after that one, maybe. Look at this over here. All right, we were talking about these islands right here off of Sumatra that were spewing SO2, right? These islands were spewing SO2, and we had a growing hotspot right up here, right? No surprise we see an earthquake here because there's pressure building in that region. We have a 5.0 down at 101. This is not a surface quake. And it's in the water. It's offshore right here in the water. Where's a good example here close by? Well, we'll just go right here, I guess. You can see this little volcano right here. Whoops, old volcano right there. Kind of looking around at other little volcanic activity in the past. Right there. Calderas. So, yeah, good little spot right there. This is one of the islands right here that was spewing SO2. So, right across from it. Our new little relief valve area, kind of. We got SO2 emissions and quake activity here in Sumatra instead of down in Java. So we might have a new little relief valve area forming up there. Also, I wanted to show you something else. These spots out here. All right, you see right off of Sumatra right here, right off this little island chain out here is this little spot that's growing. And this little area right here, here's your other little hot spot right off the last island right there. That is this out here. That is right there. So don't be surprised if we start seeing quakes maybe out of this region. There's not a quake there now, but as we pull back, you can see there's another ridge line that's gone, had activity before in the past. Meanwhile, you got actual islands that have made it to the surface on this side. And right in the middle is that one little weak spot right there. You see it? Then we come back here. See? So, our little, seamount here, old volcanic site, is a new little plume site, okay? And pressure in that region, don't be surprised we see earthquake activity along this little structure right here, this ridgeline structure too. All right, continuing on, nothing past this. There's nothing past it. No fulcrum point quakes, no quakes in this region or Europe or Africa. So everything very, very quiet after this point. It's all basically going up through here. We have a little bit of activity, force 6 at a depth of 15. And then as we come up here to the Kamchatka, we got, sorry, I get sharp pains. It's embarrassing. All right, here we go. 4.4 down at 39.5 and a 4.4 again down at 53. Our bigger quake being 5.9. So almost a 6 right here at a depth of 31. And when we come up to that little spot, whoops, should have just taken the shortcut. Boom, boom, boom. Right here, right off this little fingered peninsula, right off your little fingered peninsula right here. Nice and hot right in that region. There's cold water inundation down here. Remember we had quake activity down here before, the bigger quake that relieved it. And now we've still got cold water there. You see these islands right here, probably SO2 emissions and cold water emissions there. Or not emissions, but you can see how the island chain, some are venting pressure and some pressure's building under. You can tell ones that are venting and ones that aren't. But back to our earthquake now. So a fair amount of pressure being relieved. We have a 6 here. What do we do with 9s here? Maybe not 5.9s, but 4.9s for sure. Okay, and then a couple of other smaller quakes right there leaves a lot of pressure in this region. Okay, we haven't seen many microquake activity along these islands right here in a minute, but we do have this 3.4 at the surface just off. Very quiet up through these. Nope. Boy, we need microquake. We don't have all our magnitudes on. That's why it's so quiet. Now let's try that again. Okay. Still very quiet. Just a few of them. Really quiet through there. One. So nothing really changed too much. Fulcrum point magnitude check 2.2 there. Multi-fulcrum points. There's another one. Here's a new red one right there, but it's 1.7. So very low magnitude activity after this point right here. So a little reduction in pressure, probably because of a lot of it's been released right there. Okay, do we even do South America? All right. Fulcrum point 5.3 down at 21. See the bend in your plate right there. You can also see it in the shoreline. You can see it in this. You can see it way, especially right there. Okay, and it's all in line. There's your fulcrum point. We have SO2 emissions right in the region too. 5.3 and a 4.1, relieving pressure along that region, keeping magnitudes down. I'm telling you, if we hadn't had all this SO2 activity and, moderate magnitude quake activity in that region, you would have seen a big 8 or a 9 out of there by now. Okay? You really been dodging bullets. Whether you believe me or not, you really have. 3.5 down at 43 right there. This whole system's doing a really good job of monitoring and relieving pressure as well. It's almost like this whole coastline is one big relief valve, at least for South America. Coming into the Cocos, we got a 4.6 down at 41 offshore, probably right off the plate boundary, right on the edge of the wall. This is a big plateau, almost like a table that kind of continues out. And then this is a huge cliff that drops down to the ocean floor right there. So on this edge, we don't want to see anything break away on this edge and cause an underwater landslide. And here we have 4.6. It's not very shallow. It's further down, like through the page. If I could push this through the screen, it'd be down underneath this whole tabletop. But luckily it didn't break loose anything along that plate right, or along that edge right there. Little hidden underwater landslide could cause a surprise tsunami. And I'm talking a surprise where you're like, what? Where did that come from? There was no indication of that whatsoever. That's why it's important now for people on the coastlines that live right on the water, it's time to start backing away. Because, all right, let's come out here to Tamumasi just for a second. Right here, this little mount out here is right here. Okay, our big hot spot. Say we have a big burp that comes up and boop, 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 there's an underwater volcano eruption that would be a 22,000 foot blast out of Sabancaya, but is only a 5,000 foot blast underwater. That's going to be a huge bubble. That bubble is going to have tsunami effects all the way around the whole Pacific Rim. Okay, every land, every sea face, every little land beach interaction, it's going to have some kind of wave activity all the way around the Pacific Rim. If you have something similar happen here in the Atlantic, it's going to hit every coastline, every little inch of coastline all the way around. So even if you live over here, you could still have activity over here that can make it all the way around the world. Something that happened down here and 10 hours later affect, it bounces off this, goes up through here and hits the East Coast. All kinds of crazy stuff could possibly happen now. And I think it's important to kind of reiterate. If for me, I'd be backing away from the coastline. All right. Now you're mature adults. You can understand why. And well, when we look over here at this region and you see this heat plume growing along here and all in the Gulf area, and possible hurricane activity that's going to be going up through this area, I could see him closing some of these ports or something around this. Oh, whoops. Yeah. Okay, so we got to watch out and be careful, everybody. All right, stay alert and be on your head on a swivel. Okay. Now you're all mature adults. You can make your own decisions, but you can come over to this map too and play with this and look around. Not just take my word for it. Come on over here, check it out, please. I dare you, and then make your educated decision based on what you decide. All right. I'm just kind of here to guide a little bit. See all this heat still going on way up high, way up here. Okay. Imagine, big old heat plume up here breaks off some ice sheet up here, and a bunch of water enters the North Atlantic, and a big old wave comes down from the North Atlantic down this way. Well, any kind of coastline going to be affected by that. There are multiple factors that can happen to the water that would cause any kind of like surge of water coming inland. For instance, a hurricane causes a big surge of water to come inland. That's why it's kind of important, if it's not an earthquake, a tsunami, underwater volcano, if you live on the coastline, a hurricane or some kind of storm could push water inland, can't it? That's why I say kind of back away from the coastline a little bit. Or like me, I'm going to go paddle out. I'm going to go catch that wave, baby. I'm going to ride it. Have you ever played with Tannerite? With what? Oh, Tannerite map. No, I haven't. What will cause it? Oh, and don't think you're gonna like move to a place and escape all this, unless you think you can get off this whole planet. All right, back to the quakes. So Tamumasi, something like this out here causes big heat plumes, and you can see that once it came down, turned, it came into Hawaii. And here at Hawaii, we are still having some activity. Let's do magnitude checks, 2.1s, 2.2s. These aren't just little microquakes. These are still decent, healthy too. A little bit higher than some of them. Okay, so there's pressure building under the hub here. It's causing quake activity and currently too. So, and then look at all these seamounts out here. Look at all the potential out here for an underwater volcanic blast. And go zoom in on some. Look, they made it to the surface. They got little reefs around them. Okay, so all of those out there. And that's why, we see volcanic activity on the surface, and then you can see it underwater. You can see how all these seamounts are kind of coming to life when we click over to this global thing. All right. Think we covered all the quakes, did we? No, we sure didn't. We didn't cover Juan de Fuca going into Washington area, just some minor activity. I'm looking for activity at volcanic sites. There's a 2.7 up in Idaho there, though. All right, little activity around Rainier, not much, just an indication pressure's still down there, rumbling around. What's going on here? Stanley, Idaho, Yellowstone, Montana. Coming in, you got your geysers going off. 1.2 magnitude, very small coming in through the Bay Area. That's good. It's relieving energy as well. A little bit of activity north of Tahoe, but not much to really report. I'm looking for it. Here we go. So our little almond-shaped structure right here, let me pull back. Basically coming up to the plate boundary down right here and cutting across this little pod right there, half on land and half underwater, has been our little feature right here. And a couple weeks ago, it was all yellow and flaring up and getting very intense right there. We saw earthquake, pretty good magnitude. What was it, 4 or 5 we saw in there? And then also SO2 emissions causing fires in the region, which reduced a lot of the pressure. And the coloration went from yellow and pretty good size and diminished down to a darker, lower intense red right now. And you can see our activity in here has been pretty quiet since. A bunch of little micro quaking, but our biggest quake right here is a 2.0. I mean, that's what we're seeing in Hawaii right now at the volcano. This one right here, plate boundary 2.2. So, we're seeing magnitudes kind of reduced, still a little venting of pressure as far as that. But out here, this would be your diverse quake. But it's still out here on this pod type structure. This is showing me that, some of this pressure that's still there, it's still red, but it's not much. And it's producing little quakes, but not much. So that's good. I like to see that. That's a little reduction in pressure is good news there. 3.4 here in Texas at the depth of 8.7. Okay. Man-made perforations in the crust, relieving pressure in the area. Should have been put a big old relief valve on the top of the planet with a big old spigot and handle. That way when pressure builds up, you just turn the handle and relieve a bunch of gas out of the top. All right, 2.5 here at Oklahoma. Just a little activity at their perforations. Nothing on the New Madrid or up through the Craton today, which is good. All these people need a little break to recover from all the flooding. I wish our media, I hold them partially responsible for not getting the entire message out there to the public. 4.6 down to 41, we already did that one. Quick magnitude check right here. I mean, we got weathermen that broadcast the news, 3.4 there. But your headlines are just too much politics, and when a major storm coming in is, everybody's worried about, Category 5 and where it's going to make landfall. Stop with that. Think about the after effects when it goes up and it hits these mountains and those tight little valleys and it condenses into riverlets and canyons and stuff. That's what I was trying to tell you before it hit too. Just watch that region because it's gonna. And there was Ryan Hall. There was Max Velocity. There's some YouTubers out there that are trying their best, like me, to convey that message. And if our mainstream media can't look at YouTube for 5 seconds and steal the story from us, I don't even care if they want to take credit for it, as long as it gets reported and acknowledged to these people. They're sloppy, and it's all being done intentionally, okay? They're trying to get you guys away from the East Coast. Don't you think? I mean, can't you take the hint? Can't you tell? You want to know why? Well, because when we come over here, whoops, where was it going again? Oh, there we go. Wonder why they want you to get away from the east. Trying to shove people out west, I think. I don't know. I'll let you be the judge of that. Okay, so there's your earthquake. Man, that was a long earthquake report, huh? Guess I didn't spell it out good enough, did I? Very frustrating when I see people senseless death. Could have been avoided. I need to have a little bit more. Well, I don't even. All right, let's just get that in there. 36 and 32 is still 68 active volcanoes. 36 are currently erupting and 32 are active or in warning. All right. That is not how you grow bananas, by the way, okay? All right, here we go into October 1st already. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, okay. There's Suwanosejima, a red triangle on a big blue map. Ibico eruption, 14,000 feet out of Ibico, tomato. Suwanosejima, 8,000 feet. Manam, here's a new one back on the list here. 13,000 foot blast out of Papua New Guinea here, out of Manam. 8,000 out of Luatobi that we're just looking at. Samaru here, probably 15,000. It's got a good, healthy plume coming out of that. That's one on Java that's always going off. Samaru every day is just like boom, boom, boom. I wonder if the people of Java are just like, it's another day of volcano. No big deal. Santo Guido, no report. Fuego, no report. Nevada del Ruiz, still there. No elevation. Reventador, 14,000 feet. Reventador at Ecuador, back on the map at 14 grand. 14 to 20,000 feet. Sabancaya was so high it was unable to detect. And that was just in the last few minutes. Okay. Let's get into today, which is now, well, yesterday, because time flies at this channel, I'm telling you. There's the map of sickness. Do not look at that. That will make you sick. Karaminski, back on the map. Still no height, but Karaminski in the Kamchatka. Remember I showed you that SO2 plume? Karaminski. Shivalush also puffing around up there. Bizamani is also on the Kamchatka, and it's doing its thing. So we got 3. 1, 2, 3 all on the peninsula. Excuse me. Suwanosejima, 8,000. Manam, 13. IBU at 8,000. Careful getting one of those. You might hit a squirrel and total your car. 8,000 feet out of that Samaru. 14,000 White Island volcano. Ash emissions are now less frequent. Okay. Santa Guido, here we go. 15,000. Fuego, 15,000. Nevada del Ruiz in Colombia, 23,000. That's a pretty tall blast right there for Nevada del Ruiz. Sabancaya, again, unable to detect. Your map in list form. Do not get desensitized by this list. These lists are sheer insanity. Okay, this is why your mainstream media cannot report this, because then they'd have to tell you about Barren Island, Bizamani, Tucono, Ebico, Erebus, Erta Ale, all currently erupting. Warning, 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 eruption warning. Okay, and just these lists keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And we can come on over here. We'll let's Kilauea, for instance, right? We got Kilauea going off, right? We can come over here and find out. Kilauea volcano currently active and eruption update. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory reported that eruption along with volcanic tremor began to decrease at 6 local time. So they began to decrease there. Good. We're still seeing quake activity there. But you see the gas coming out of the ground? SO2, right? Oh, I shouldn't have told you. I should have said, everybody, what's this coming out of the ground right there? I don't think it would have caught you off guard. Eruption has paused. Okay. But then close that. You can come over to any one of these. Krakatoa and the Sun to Strait. Luatobi, Luatolo. Look at this. Katmaya in the Alaskan Peninsula is new. Kikai in the Ryuk Islands, that's a newer one on these lists over here. There's Manam. We just saw it. It had a blast. It belongs over here. Here's Nevada Del Ruiz. We saw at 23,000 feet. Put it over there. Just pure insanity. And don't forget, we got one down in, where is it? Ubinus? No. Down in Antarctica. Okay, so all these 67, 68 volcanoes erupting on land, on the surface above the water. Well, let's just do a rough 2/3 is underwater, so double that list. 68, that'd be 130, 136. Yeah, 136. 136 underwater plus the 68 that are on land. You're getting around over 200, 300 volcanoes. We're getting closer, not 300, but we're over 200 volcanoes. And if I had told you 7 years ago this would happen, you would have said, you're right. Sure. But here we are. And I'm still crazy about you. All right, now let's get some of these taken down. I want to get my weather. Why does it keep taking it away? We'll just do tropical tidbits right there. Forecast model. Do our little weather run, and then we'll get into our spiritual report. Okay, let's get her done. Oh, that was the title of the show. Let's get her done. All right, current conditions, nighttime September 30th, just this little bit of moisture kind of leaving the coastline. Morning of the 1st, convection, or noontime, sorry, convection right there. Just that little cell, I'd watch that a little bit. A little bit of snow sneaking into Canada up there. We're going into the nighttime of the 1st, morning of the 2nd, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 3rd, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 4th, watch this coming in. This is that storm that I was showing you off the Pacific Northwest. It's trying to push in there. That's the morning of the 4th, noon, convection, nighttime. See this low wrapping up here, these tight millibars going across from here. That'll be some wind through there. Morning of the 5th, noon, convection, nighttime, 6, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 7th, noon, convection, nighttime. Happened to a hurricane. It's kind of spinning around there. So convection the 6th, nighttime the 6th, noon, or morning of the 7th, noon, convection, nighttime, morning of the 8th, noon, convection, nighttime. Doesn't look like it's getting too organized here. Morning of the 9th, noon, convection, nighttime, but it is a long duration, heavy moisture event right off the coast there. All through this, it's just still raining on the coastline, just lashing it with water. So there's the like noontime the 11th, convection, nighttime the 11th, going into 12. This is all so far out into the future that it's all subject to change and not really. Now, over here, you see this kind of activity. This way too far out to, look at seriously, but this is a good example of what we're going to start to see here as storms start to, push inland as we go into later into fall and start reaching towards that winter time there. All right, so there's your run. Just let it play really quick. Take a sip, and then we'll get to our spiritual report. Okay, so let's get some of this going here. Gonna have to remount my camera here. Okay, a lot of UFO activity going on as well. Okay, and don't let that fool you. Okay. Where are we gonna go really quick? Oh yeah, maybe this one.
Light over this sleeping child down below here.
Let's just show this one really quick. It's important you guys see these angels.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back. So I'm real excited to show you this one. This is an angel that was captured on my security cameras, and now I've run it through the filter here. So if you turn your head to the right, about 45 degrees, you can make out the head, the hair, the breasts. It's a female, the torso, the waist, the legs coming down here, a wing coming off here, a wing coming off over here. And we'll zoom in on this real quick because this one's nice and clear that you can. Okay, and this is an angel that was caught hovering in a shaft of light over this sleeping child down below here. So zoom in on it again. Just excited that you can see it a lot clearer now because before it was kind of faint, and now with these filters I'm able to make these images pop a little bit more for you guys so you can see them. I'm sorry about the way I have to do it with the camera and the computer, but I don't have any other option. So I just wanted to bring this angel to you for a moment so you guys can see that this is real. This is security camera footage that's admissible as evidence in a court of law.
All right, so there. Hopefully, you guys can see that little angel. She's tilted this way, laying like 45-degree angle, her body. Then you can see a wing coming off, and you can make out her legs, like I said, the breasts and the hair and stuff. Okay, so that's going to be one of our images for later here. Now, let me get another one pulled up here. Giant face by the moon. That one's always a given after the ad, of course.
Dentists hate when you do this, but they can't stop you.
Oh. Yeah. Play it. I could stop you. Like that. All right. Pause right there for that freeze frame. All right. Got two moons right now, huh? This was captured out next to the moon. And we got other stuff to pull up as well. Oh, that's over Google. Yeah. And just pull up a couple images to read to really quick tonight. And got some more stuff that's hot off the street for you guys. I love experience in life because then it just so much to learn, so much to hand down. Okay, there we go. So, right here, let me get my light going. And I think those are the ones I want to read to tonight. What was the first one I had? Okay, so interacting with some of my children today. One of the subjects that we got on was just taking it like one day at a time, one step at a time. You know, things are getting very, very intense these days, so it's important that you just take it one step at a time. Okay, sometimes one moment at a time. All right, and it's important that you follow me one step at a time, and that is all I require of you. In fact, that is the only way to move through this space-time world. You see huge mountains looming in the distance, and you start wondering how you're going to scale those heights. Meanwhile, because you're not looking where you're going, you stumble on the easy path where I'm leading you now. So as I help you get back on your feet, you tell me how worried you are about the cliffs up ahead, but you don't know what will happen today, much less tomorrow. Our path may take an abrupt turn, leading you away from those mountains. There may be an easier way up the mountains than is visible from this distance. Okay? There might be an easier path that isn't visible from this distance, much like these are visible from further back. You can't see the path because it's not visible in your perspective. But here, now it's visible. Now you can see your path a little better. Okay? And follow me one step at a time down that path. And there's a lot of steps in a day. So one day at a time, and there's multiple steps during the day, and one step at a time. And because you're not looking where you're going, sometimes you stumble. And the easy path, where I'm leading you now. Okay, this is the easy path, and you're stumbling. So let me help you back on your feet. And that's when you tell me. That's important for you to pour your heart out to me about what's bothering you. Okay, when you're looking up at those cliffs up ahead, okay, and you're not sure what's going to happen today and what's going to happen tomorrow, tell me how worried you are about the troubles. Okay, it's for your mental health. Okay, and there may be an easier way than going up the mountains. There might be a path that's less visible from this distance. And if I do lead you up to the cliffs, I will equip you thoroughly for that strenuous climb. I will even give my angels, here we go. Okay, I will even give my angels charge over you to persevere you in all your ways. Okay, I will give my angels charge over you to preserve you in all your ways. So keep your mind on the present journey, enjoying my presence, and walk by faith, not by sight. And that means what the mainstream media has portrayed as the truth. Okay, it doesn't mean this. You can still see this. These are the glimpses of heaven that are promised. Okay, so when it says live by faith and not by sight, that doesn't mean this. That means don't live by what you see in the world. This is the spiritual realm you're seeing right here. This is what you can count on by sight, is the spiritual realm. And I will equip you for the strenuous climb. This is me equipping you right here. This is me equipping you. This is me equipping you for the strenuous cliffs up ahead. Yep. Important again, keep your mind on the present journey. Be in the present moment. One step at a time, in the present moment, with me, enjoying my presence, not dreading it, enjoying it. Okay, each little bit of pain that you overcome is like a red badge of courage. You're overcoming, you're achieving. Okay, now here's my face. This is also my face. This is what I look like right now as I'm reading to you. The book light shining on half of my face. So seek my face, and you will find not only my presence, but also my peace. To receive my peace, you must change your grasping, controlling stance to one of openness and trust. Do you understand this? To receive my peace, you have to let go. You got to change your grasping, controlling stance to one of trust. Trust and openness. Got to have an open mind to understand this. So your openness and trust, because the more you trust on me, the more peace you get in proportion, right? So the only thing you can grasp without damaging your soul is grasping my hand. Ask my spirit within you to order your day and to control your thoughts. For the mind controlled by the spirit is life and peace. All right, it's not easy. It sounds easy, but you have to work at it. These are all disciplines. So The only thing that you can really grasp, that you can hold on to without damaging your soul, is grasping my hand. Ask my spirit that's within you. You got to talk to yourself and ask the Holy Spirit within you to control your thoughts and your day. Because the mind controlled by the spirit of life and peace. You can have as much of me and my peace as you want. And through thousands of correct choices each day, the most persistent choice you face is whether to trust me or to worry. Especially when you see all the ports closing down. Ooh, boy, I felt a big old thrust of anxiety and worry come flying at me. Oh, you want to go out, Katie? Yeah, all right. We'll go. Be nice to the fairy. Yeah, so I felt that today, and that's why it's important that you seek my face and find my presence and my peace. Okay? And you can have as much of me and my peace as you want. Okay, that's your choice. The most persistent choice that you face is whether to trust me or to worry. So, what does it feel better, to continue worrying or to just kind of let go of control and trust? You'll find your way through the day a lot easier when you just trust and go with the flow. Okay. So it's important to trust than to worry, because you will never run out of things to worry about. You will never, in this world, there are so many things to worry about, you'll never run out of them. They're infinite, right? So if there's all these infinite worries to worry about, you might as well just find peace. And you'll never run out of things to worry about, but you can choose to trust me no matter what. I am an ever-present help in trouble. Trust me, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, you can still trust in me. It still does not change your finish line, your victory. So that's why at the end of the show, it's important that we take a few deep breaths, that you come to me and rest, because I am all about you and to bless and to restore. So take a deep breath. Breathe me in with each breath. The way just ahead of you is very steep. So slow down, cling tightly to my hand, and I am teaching you difficult lessons that are learned only by hardship. And we were talking about hardship the other night. It's your hardship, overcoming those hardships are those glories, those small victories. And I'm teaching you difficult lessons through hardship. It can only be learned through hardship. There's no other way. You got to overcome something, right? And it can only be learned through hardship, these difficult lessons. That's why it's important that you lift up empty hands of faith to receive my precious presence. When you realize that I'm real, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm present, that changes your whole world now. So lift up your empty hands of faith and receive my precious presence. Light, life, joy, and peace flow freely from this gift. When your focus turns away from me, you grasp for other things. You drop the glowing gift of my presence as you reach for lifeless ashes. Return to me and regain my presence. Okay, I know the headlines you're seeing. I know what you guys are all going to be going shopping tomorrow. But right now, come to me and rest. Lift up your empty hands of faith and receive my precious presence. And you seek my face, and you will find not only my presence, but my peace. My peace that transcends these weird circumstances that you're in. I am that ever-present help in trouble. Okay? The mind controlled by the Spirit is life and peace. And then one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time if you have to, okay? It's important that you're living full and that you're overcoming your adversity through the day. We're salvaging the day. Sometimes it goes smooth, sometimes it doesn't. We have good days, we have bad days. We have good and bad days. Each day has its own challenges, right? So you're overcoming obstacles every day. It's important that you include me in them. Okay, that's where you'll find the relief, the help, the guidance that will surpass circumstances. Okay, you really have power and control. You really do. Your prayers are heard. Maybe not answered quite right away in the way you thought they would be answered, but they're heard. Okay, and they will all be answered eventually when we reach the spirit realm, won't we? Won't they? You're already seeing brief glimpses of your victory already. This is to give you courage and hope and peace and inspire you to continue to fight and carry on. I mean, not fight each other and kill each other, but to fight through your struggles. Okay, don't cave in. If you don't have success at first, keep trying. Try to overcome your circumstances and recover your day so your face will be glowing and you can bring my light into other people's lives. And that's what it's all about, is trying to rescue your day and rescue other people's day and bring the truth to them, because this is what they need now. You see how vital this information is now, especially as we progress into this latest round. It's important that people get the peace that they can have if they want it. So if you have friends and family and you're concerned about their future or whatever, you can always send them here, show them some of these videos or whatever. It's important that you guys understand you are here. You're caught up with me in the clouds. This is like a good book, like a good song, like a good TikTok thread that takes you away from your circumstances at the moment, and you get caught up in something different. It pulls your mind away from the activities going on in the world at the moment, and you get caught up. You get caught up in a good book. You get caught up in a good song. You get caught up with me in the clouds. This is me coming in the clouds with power and great glory. 2,000-year-old prophecy came true on Easter. How about that? This is me coming in the clouds with power and great glory. If you are caught up with me in the clouds, well, you met me in the air of cyberspace, where I have gone and prepared a place where I am, you could be with me also. See, I can't just come over and knock on your door, come give you a fat hug. I got to meet my family in the air of cyberspace, which means going live on YouTube, right? So you are caught up with me in the clouds. You are technically raptured, yet that term is not in the Bible, and everybody's counting on it. You're the ones that are raptured. You're the ones that are complete. Your faith has been completed. If you tilt your head to the right and you see my face and my crown right here, you see me coming in the clouds with power and great glory, and you're caught up by it, you are technically raptured. Your faith has been completed. You now know. And with that knowing, my children perish for lack of knowledge. They don't know. Well, you do. And it's important as people that know that you tell the rest of the world what you know. You got to share this as much as you can before we're running out of time. Okay, I'm not a big guy on how many likes or how many subscribers I have, but it is important that we get views. Okay, that is what's important, because people that view this they find the blessing. And if you're the one that led them to that blessing, well, that blesses you as well. So go ahead, don't be shy. It's okay to share this. It's not blasphemy. It's everybody's so uptight and worried about that. When they're going to realize that that's not what blasphemy is, that you need to trust and believe me. And that was the whole point of this thing for the whole 7 years was someone, I can't get anybody's attention and believe me for 5 minutes. But those who did give 5 minutes of their time and believe me, well, you're truly blessed, aren't you? You found magic in your life. You found miracles in every little activity of your day. And you're living richer, fuller lives, aren't you? Aren't you? And that's why you're here, because you get that peace that transcends your circumstances. You know you're okay. You will have victory, regardless of what happens. You understand that it's a test of character. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Okay? I know you get distracted by the things in the world. So do I. I have to be 1 foot in the physical, 1 foot in the spiritual as well. That's what you guys are doing. Did you know that? You got 1 foot in the spiritual, 1 foot in the physical? Well, so do I. But I have to do it a little bit differently. I have to put 1 foot in the physical, where you guys have to put 1 foot in the spiritual. Well, I have to stick my foot in the mud and it gets muddy, and then I got to find out how to clean it off. And we learn little lessons each day. It's important that you try to stay positive. Don't let them steal your joy. This is a battle of the mind. Okay, this battlefield is of your consciousness, of your mind. They want you running around scared out of your wits. Well, you can turn around and tell them the truth, and they're the one that'll be scared out of their wits. You're the ones that have nothing to fear. You're the elite. They're a bunch of criminals that are about to, well, they're about to find out the hard way, I guess, huh? And you can see everything unfolding. You see all the signs happening. You see the activity in the sun. You see the volcanoes, the earthquakes. I describe how all of it comes together, how all of this connects with this. Who else could do that? Only one person can show you a real miracle. This is a real miracle. So all of these are all just individual photos of the same event, but each one is a different photo. And each one shows a different angle. It's a different, each one's a miracle. And only one person can show you a real miracle. That would be this individual right here. Me. Okay? And when you give it a shot and you trust me for just a second, you're going to find there's a little miracle hidden in all of this. And if you haven't found the miracle yet, don't leave before it happens. Keep trying, keep striving to be better. Okay? It's progress, not perfection. Perfection's when you team up with me and we overcome. That's what perfection is overcoming. All right? Keep fighting, keep digging, and keep praying. Pray for each other, pray for peace, and prepare for, what's coming here. And remember, you guys plug into the news. You watch, you tune in as much as you tune in. And if it gets you rattled, unplug and step away from it. Take time to pray, get to a quiet spot, have a few minutes for your own mental health. And if you're getting too overwhelmed by the headlines in your mainstream media, well, turn that stuff off. Come over here and pick out a picture and look at it for a minute and listen to my voice or whatever it takes. Okay? It's important that you still maintain your composure and one kind of sense morality and civility while we go through this process. Okay. I, I love you guys. I've been through all kinds of crazy stuff to be able to bring this to you. All right. If I could just even scratch the surface on what I've been through to bring this to you. Okay. So I love you all. I love you, Leslie, Princess Ophelia, Stephen, Mr. Deterministic Chaos, Leslie. You guys are awesome. Angel Wings, I love it when you're here, sweetie. Yeah, you guys got all the Anita Cameron. Ooh, Max. All right. Hey, cool. Some cool people made it tonight. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I hope you're finding the peace that transcends your circumstances. It gives you strength to endure. Remember that patient endurance. Okay. Be patient, keep enduring. You're collecting glory after glory after glory every time you overcome something. Okay, so keep working on that and bring that light into other people's lives and bring the truth into their lives so they can have the peace that transcends these circumstances these days. All right, that's it for now. I love you. I miss you. I will be back. I am already back. Hello, headlines. Earth shattering headlines. I am already back. Been here for a while and nobody seems to notice, except every sign that's ever been written in the Bible is going off right now simultaneously, isn't it? Maybe it's because of my presence. Anyways, that's it for tonight. They're about to disconnect me anyway. I love you. I miss you. Until my next stream, I will be back. I am already back. Can't you tell?